there. How are you assessing who's actually positioned to make good on these ambitions?
John, wonderful to be back. And we are in record territories and wild times, and we still have a quarter to go in this year. And so it's certainly a great time in software. And I do think part of the earlier themes you mentioned come into play here, which is so much of early success is all about focus, whether it's nailing a vertical or a particular product area. And yet long-term dominance depends on multiple horizons. And so you see a lot of these early leaders that are now in the tens or in some cases hundreds of billions of dollars of market cap now looking to move into platforms and extend into their second or third vertical pillar or to add horizontals that can be foundational to their long-term strength and success.
And so we're heading into this season of a lot of cloud conferences and announcements. A lot of the hyperscalers have been announcing industry moves, trying to focus in maybe on medical, trying to focus in on applying AI to specific industries where perhaps they can gain share over AWS. Is that the right move? Do you think they're going to be acquiring some of these smaller companies with best of breed and point solutions to do that?
I do, and we see this acronym Mount SAS, which helps support your earlier question of who are the leaders that are the flag bearers that will go into these multiple categories and try to roll through. Dreamforce was just a couple of weeks ago. Salesforce certainly one of the leaders among them. The issue with M&A as a leverage point to do that has been valuations. These public companies are trading at lofty multiples. The average software company is at about 21 times revenue right now. But the private companies, the typical targets for these businesses, are trading at even higher multiples. We're seeing 30, 40, 50x revenue in private markets with an abundance of capital and a very healthy IPO market that's pulling them in. And so what used to be an alternative to have M&A in these 20x numbers are harder and harder to make cross these days. Plus, you have increased government scrutiny on the larger transactions, including some of those that you mentioned, which adds a risk element to them. And so we're seeing more and more of these top private cloud companies looking to the public markets. In the last couple of weeks, it was Toast, Freshworks, Amplitude. And we have now a $500 billion of market cap sitting locked in the top 100 private companies, still waiting to go public, which we think will roll forward in the coming quarters in a very material way.
Byron, returning to the question of what you expect to hear from these big conferences coming up, how important do you think security is going to be in terms of a focus for these companies going forward?
Unfortunately, security is front and center for every software company these days, whether you're a security vendor and actually selling your services to others, or if you are an application or infrastructure provider having to defend your services from attacks. The crooks keep innovating. It is a market that will never stop. And you have the addition now of ransomware and state actors that are actually conducting, cyber espionage for their national industries. And so it is absolute chaos out there in terms of the attack vectors that are coming in. And we see that the state of security has never been better. And yet the rate of innovation needs to continue because the attacks are coming as the prizes get bigger and bigger and as the value of these assets become larger.